Welcome into Sports Memo's betting podcast, NFL opening line report with Teddy Covers. Teddy, happy Monday morning to you. How you doing, man?
Hey, happy Monday, Drew. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah out there for all of those religious folks who want to celebrate something. I had a craptastic weekend. Keep losing games by a hook, man. It's making me absolutely crazy. But that being said, there's a ton to be thankful for. And, of course, we've got Week 17 games to talk about. Of all the weeks, Drew, this is the week that will have the craziest line moves, and this is the week where many of those line moves are completely unpredictable right now. So I'll do the best I can at breaking down this card. And also, you're going to see some dramatic differences between last week's look-aheads and this week's numbers, as well as my powering numbers. I didn't adjust for my powering numbers for who's starting, who's sitting guys, and who isn't. So my powering numbers are going to be very different from the point spreads in a lot of these games. That's just the nature of Week 17. Week 17 is something of a crapshoot, so we'll do our best to give you good info. And, of course, being that it's Christmas time, my kid wants to say hi. Isaac, come say hi. Come say Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah.
All right, buddy. Knock yourself out.
Dad, can I go to Jacob's?
Yeah, knock yourself out.
I'll be back.
Okay, I'm on air. I have a good time. Go bug mom. All right. There we go. We got to leave that on.
That's awesome, right. Teddy. Yeah, Isaac.
Yeah. But Isaac wanted to say hi. He sits, he's off from school. So, Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right.
There we go. We got that out of the way. Now let's break down some
Absolutely. Teddy, well done there. 481-482. We got the Monday Nighter for all the watchers watching on Monday night. Any quick thoughts here? 47.5, 47 being the total. Looks like the Vikings -5. There is a couple 5.5s at home.
I'm not looking to bet against Minnesota at home. When you talk about the Vikings under Mike Zimmer, they were better than 67% as home. They're better than 67% as home chalk. This has been their role. This has not been Kirk Cousins' role. How about 0 for 8 winning games on Monday Night Football? They won't have Dalvin Cook tonight. And the Packers play defense. So it's the type of game where I'm not inclined to lay with Minnesota, given that I'm expecting, a slight lean towards the under here and what I think might be a defensive struggle. But I'm not stepping in front of that Vikings track record at home. Not going to do it. But it's priced into this number pretty good. My number came out a little bit shorter than this one. And without Dalvin Cook and Cousins' track record in these type of games, I'm leaving it on the side. I'll be passing on Monday Night Football tonight.
Okay, lean towards the under, but likely a pass there. 101, 102, top of the Sunday card here. Teddy, we got Tennessee at Houston. Looks like the Titans -6 or -6 in the hook. 45.5 being the total here, Teddy.
All right, and again, this is Week 17, so you're going to find dramatic differences based on what happened yesterday or what happened over the course of the weekend. What happened over the course of the weekend is that the Texans clinched the divisions, and now the Titans are playing for a playoff spot. So the look-ahead line here was Houston -1. My pure powering number, again, my pure powering number is going to be way off the market this week, but I want to give them out just so you know what they are. My pure powering number is Houston -3. Titans are must-win. Texans, in theory, are resting starters. It's been all Texans money. And I don't know that it gets to 7. I'm not convinced that it will. But it's been nothing but Texans money and nothing but under money in this one. I would anticipate more under money showing as we see who Houston's going to sit. But the markets aren't expecting the Texans to play any of their key offensive skill position players this week. Hence the movement towards the under and the movement towards Tennessee.
Teddy, 103, 104 up next. Cleveland at Cincinnati. We're seeing the Browns -2 in the hook on the road, 45.5 being the total.
And just real quick, remember, the Tennessee's must win, Houston's resting starters, all right? You know what the markets do in these situations. But there are so many examples of Week 17 where one team's got something to play for and the other team doesn't, and the other team shows up anyway. Mm-hmm. So be aware for falling into these must-win traps, and I call them traps, especially when you're laying an inflated price, like Tennessee. Again, my powering number is Texans -3, and even if the Texans sit all their offensive starters, I don't know if my powering number goes to Titans -6. Browns Bengals. There's no playoff implications for this one. No one's in must-win. Look headline was Cleveland -3. My powering number is Cleveland -2.5. The Bengals with one of the more remarkable comebacks in the closing seconds of the game yesterday, and they still ended up losing to Miami in that contest. They've clinched the number 1 draft pick, which means they can play to win this week. You can lay points with Cleveland. The markets aren't too excited about that. 2.5, 3 is where this thing's going to sit all week long. I don't see this lumber moving. Total sitting 45.5. We've seen a little bit of early under money. I don't disagree with that. I'm not convinced we're going to see a whole lot more, although weather conditions could easily affect this total. When we're talking about weather in the northern part of the country, you want to pay attention, obviously, at this time of the year.
105-106 Chicago at Minnesota. Of course, with Minnesota playing tonight, limited marketplace here. Am seeing a 6.5 at Circa right now. 41 the total. That's 6.5 Vikings laying at home.
Yeah, my look ahead line here was Minnesota -7. My powering number is Minnesota -8.5. I do give the Vikings extra home field. I'm not sure what the Bears have left in the tank. They didn't show last night at home. I'm not convinced they're going to show Week 17 on the road. I would think that if that 6.5 at Circa you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings could still be. The Vikings could be a 6 seed. They could be. A 12-4 6 seed.
Wow.
That's it's craziness in that regard. But I don't see Minnesota in a sense where they're going to be sitting guys next week. I would think that line can only go up. And I don't think there's going to be much market support for the Bears. So regardless of how the Vikings look tonight, I think Minnesota, at 6.5, that 6.5 is not going to be there next week.
Good stuff, Teddy.
But that's only one, and it's here in Vegas.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it should, likely move. I guess we've seen this situation move in the past. We got 107-108 Indianapolis at Jacksonville. We're seeing Indy -3 in the hook on the highway, 43 being the total, Teddy.
Yeah, look at line Jags -1.5, and that line looks really bad.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have done more with the look aheads last week. Jacksonville is the epitome of a playing out the string team. And Atlanta, every year Quinn's about to get fired, and then the Falcons show up. Look at line here was 1.5. My powering number is Indy -4.5 for this ball game. I don't see a big line move here. I don't think the Colts are going to all of a sudden get a bunch of public support. No one's betting Jacksonville Week 17. No one bet Jacksonville last week either. So it's it's not going down. 3.5 feels like the number where it's going to sit for a while. Total is 43. Haven't seen any movement on that yet.
Teddy, we got NFC South up next. 109-110 Atlanta at Tampa Bay. We're seeing 49.5 the total. And Tampa Bay either -1 or pick 'em in Raymond James.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that. Look ahead with Tampa 2. My number is Tampa 4. And the markets are at pick 'em. I'm not so sure why they're in love with the Falcons. They play better. And the Bucs are coming off a heavy turnover game against Houston. Still found a way to push the closing number. That's what Tampa's done. And I understand they got injuries in the secondary, and they've got injuries at wide receiver. And, you certainly like the attitude of the Bucs down the stretch. They've said all the right things. They've played hard. So is Atlanta. So I guess pick 'em to me seems really short for this game. My initial lean is towards Tampa, and my numbers show Tampa here as being the way to look. And I'm surprised at the enthusiasm in the markets for the Falcons this morning.
Today we got Washington at Dallas here, this NFC East matchup, 44.5 being the total. Dallas laying doubles at home, that's 10.5, or some shops even showing 11 with the Cowboys laying at home, Teddy.
Let me start with this. Everyone's writing off the Cowboys because they didn't show last night again. Dallas is very live to win this division. We'll talk about Philly. And Philly's going to be in a game, and there's no walkover for the Eagles against the Giants. So if Dallas can win this one, they're still very live to save Jason Garrett's job and win the NFC East and all of that. That being said, look ahead line here was 7.5. My powering number is 8. The markets are at 11. The Redskins are playing good football. Make no mistake about it. I mean, look, not Washington. They play decent football.
They haven't quit on the season.
Right. No, and Haskins is playing well. All right, which is something that wasn't the case earlier in the year. Haskins can throw the football around. There are certainly they have an identity under Bill Callahan that they didn't have under Gruden. They're a physical smash mouth, let's run the football type of team. They did suffer more injuries in yesterday's game, and maybe that is part of the reason why this number is as high as it is. The Redskins are a very banged-up football team, and injuries on the offensive line, on the defensive line, the receiving, whatever, everywhere for Washington. But Washington showed. Washington's coming with Everett every week, and Dallas is must-win and being priced like it. So, again, my number is much lower. The look-ahead was much lower. From a value standpoint, the Redskins are a clear choice.
Teddy, we got 113, 114 up next. New Orleans at Carolina. 13 we're seeing mostly across the board here. That's the Saints laying on the highway. 47.5 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, look ahead was Saints minus 11. My powering number is Saints minus 12. The markets are at 13. I wouldn't be shocked if this game goes to 14. Carolina was pretty rough in Indy yesterday. And it's a Panthers defense that's since Terry Poe got hurt, they haven't been able to stop the run at all. The Saints are very much in we got to win mode. We saw them, they got punched by Tennessee yesterday early and punched repeatedly in that game. And the Saints bounced back. They punched back really well. They're at a pretty high level right now. This line can only go up. It's not going down. We're not going to see Carolina money, even after Greg Olsen went nuts on his teammates after the game. I don't know if that's going to help things going into Week 17. And Will Grier, his first NFL start. And the first-time starting quarterbacks had been very good, ATS, but Grier was not good yesterday. And again, you're giving up 2 punt returns. That's all you need to know. That's an effort thing. If you give up the first and you give up a second, it'd be only Saints money here. They'll probably go 14. We could emergency betting alert this one, but there's one better because the leading indicators aren't showing that this line has to go higher than 13. I'm not convinced that it will, at least not during the week. By kickoff on game day, the public shops will all be at 14 for this ball game. So if you do like the Saints, not going to hurt you. But there's one better one for emergency betting alert because that one's right around a key number.
All right, we'll have to hold off on that alert, Teddy. But we got NFC East divisional matchup here. The aforementioned Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Football Giants. Looks like Eagles -4 in the hook. In MetLife, 45 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, look-ahead line here was Philly -5. My powering number is Philly -3. This is not going to be an easy game for the Eagles. Okay, if you think Philly, they won last night, and when you think about what Philly's been the last 3 weeks, which is barn burner game, you need one more of these. And the Giants chucking it around with Daniel Jones. It's not like the Giants don't have any. They're hopeless. When Jones doesn't turn it over, they're not hopeless. And the Giants score points a whole lot easier than Philly does. So this is going to be a competitive game. And the Eagles going to earn the NFC East title. They're going to have to earn it. No one's going to give it to them. And again, the markets right now in this range where they're saying, yeah, well, they don't really deserve to be big chalk here. My powering number, again, lower than the markets. There's some Philly must-win being priced into this. And the Giants, they took a ton of wise guy money yesterday, and they cashed. I would not be surprised to see some wise guy support for the G-men this week. This isn't one of those that this line's going to go through the roof. There will be Giants support in the marketplace. Total standpoint, we haven't seen any movement on this one yet. Eagles are a dead nuts under team in theory when the defense doesn't get burned. Giants are a dead nuts over team. I don't see a clear choice on this total of where it's going to move. And
Teddy, just a quick question on, I guess, the first week of the playoffs here with either Philadelphia or the Dallas Cowboys getting a home game as the NFC East champions. Would you see that initial money backing either the Eagles or the Cowboys at home, but likely being the underdog, or would you think it's fading one of those two teams?
It's hard to say without the matchup. Okay. It really is. In general, the teams with 500 or worse records that get home games in the playoffs don't get a lot of market support.
Okay.
In general, but there are exceptions to that rule.
It's a fascinating handicap. It will be interesting to see next Sunday. We got 117, 118 up next. Teddy, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. We're seeing the Ravens Only -1 at home. 39.5 being the total here, Teddy.
So, yeah, this is the biggest differential between my powering number and a point spread all year. Look at line here was Baltimore 3. My powering number is Baltimore -14.
Wow.
Baltimore 1. Well, yeah, but that's,
Yeah.
I mean, the Ravens aren't going to play anyone
Right.
this week. And in terms of who they're not going to play, I don't know who they're not going to play. I just, when it comes to Monday morning and what can I do for the show, all I can do is put out my powering number. And I'm not going to, and then you can adjust off it. But again, Ravens -14. It'll be RG3, I would think, this week for Baltimore, right? He's the backup. Yeah. Ravens aren't going to lie. I don't think the Ravens lay down here. I'll just leave it at that. And the markets are saying the Ravens are going to lay down here. Although, I mean, they're 1 point chalk, but all the early money's come on Pittsburgh. We'll have to see who starts at QB for the Steelers. Obviously, Hodges got benched yesterday, and then Rudolph got hurt, and then Hodges came back in and threw another pick. But if it's Hodges, there is a legitimate differential between Hodges and Rudolph in terms of where the number should be for Pittsburgh. Rudolph's at least 2 or 3 points better than Hodges at the quarterback position for the Steelers. So we'll have to see who plays. But that could definitely move the number. And again, the Ravens -14 is my powering number. That is not a bettable number. That's just Team A minus Team B. But I don't think Baltimore lays down. And especially with a bye week, I don't think Baltimore lays down for what it's worth. You think they want to have to face the Steelers again? I don't.
Yeah, no, and they're the number 1 seed anyway. They clinched it, right, Teddy?
Yes.
So do you see?
They have a number 1 seed and the bye.
And in your opinion, do you think Lamar Jackson, gets a couple series here?
Lamar Jackson will not play in this.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah, there would not be. Yeah, he was banged up. Lamar Jackson will not play in this game. How many other Ravens starters sit is another question, and the quality of their backups. Baltimore's got depth. And I'm going to tell a story. I apologize. I don't want to tell any long stories, but I'm going to tell a little story. Week 17, 2013. And I'm telling this story because I was privy, because I was on the inside of a BW move back in the day. And that line opened like it was the Chiefs and the Chargers. And the Chiefs had clinched and were sitting everyone, and the Chargers were must win to make the playoffs. And that line opened like 4.5 to 6.5, got bet up to 9.5, got bet up to 13.5, closed over 2 touchdowns. It was, as high as 15.5, 16.5. I mean,
okay.
The first line had the guy sitting out. You know what I mean? The first line, the opener, had that priced in.
No.
And all the rest of the money that came was just money that's chasing steam. It was already priced into the opener.
Right.
And what happened? The Chargers closed, I think it was 16.5. They trailed by 10 in the fourth quarter, rallied to tie the game, and sent it to overtime and won by 3. So beware. And that's just one example. I can give you 15 more. That's one that always sticks out in my mind because it was one of the biggest line moves I've ever seen. It moved like 10 points. And it was already factored in the number before they moved it. So be aware of some of this stuff. They're not the bookmakers aren't sleeping. And the must-win teams they're great. They must win. Doesn't mean they have to must-win by 3 touchdowns. And the dead teams that aren't going to show up, guess what? They're still playing divisional foes, and they still care, and the backups can still play. So we'll see who the Ravens sit.
And Teddy, just a follow-up question to that. Do you think Week 17 is the easiest week for the sports bettors to win?
Hardest.
Or the hardest?
Hardest. The single hardest week. There's a lot of randomness this week. It's not a week that I'm going to go nuts by any stretch of the imagination. There are a couple of plays that stand out. We'll probably get down on them fairly early in the week. And it's not a week where I'm peppering the board with wagers. Not even maybe. There's a lot of randomness this week, a lot of static.
Man, good stuff there, Teddy. Nice story. 119-120 AFC each matchup here. Teddy, New York Jets, Buffalo Bills. We got the Bills -1 at home, 36.5 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, look headline here was Buffalo -4.5. My powering number is Buffalo -7.5, but the Bills are locked in. They have nothing to play for. And I don't know how they're going to approach this game, and the markets don't seem to know either. They will play next week, and they'll play on the road next week, so they may rest everybody here. And they may not. I don't know. Bottom line, though, is that, it's the Bills -1 in the game where I power rated 7.5. We're not going to see. We saw a ton of under money for the Jets last week. We saw a ton of under money for the Bills last week. This totals and both cashed. No, the Bills didn't cash, but the Jets under cashed. I would not be surprised to see under money here. We've already seen under money here. We may well see more. If you like the under, I bet that sooner. There's still 37s out there as we speak. They may not last much longer.
All right, the next AFC East matchup coming up next. But first, guys, special coupon code here for the podcast, TC199 at checkout. That's TC199 at checkout for the rest of his NFL and college football full season. That gives you every play in both the NFL and college football that Teddy releases throughout the Super Bowl, includes his prop package throughout the national championship. Every bowl game from Teddy covers both NFL and college football for $100 off at sportsmemo.com using the coupon code TC199 at checkout. That's the rest of his NFL college football season. Coupon code TC199 at checkout. We got Miami at New England up next, Teddy. Looks like the Patriots minus 16 in Foxborough, 45 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, look ahead line here was New England minus 14.5. My powering numbers, New England minus 15. Yes, the Patriots, obviously, given the point spread, must win. They don't must win. They're in there. They already won Clint's division. They've already... but they haven't earned a first-round bye. They haven't earned a home game or anything like that in round. They can't get home field edge, but they can get the 2 seed still in the AFC. So they're being priced like they're like a must-win team. And Belichick week 17 has been bet on all the way. Patriots always show. They always win. I've learned, Mike, like every other stupid lesson I've learned about betting against New England. It doesn't matter what the situation is. They'll always get the 2-point conversion. I'm really frustrated with the Patriots right now. I thought I had and not that Buffalo was the right side in that game, but they sure as hell were in the wrong side. And it's always how does New England, like New England in 2-point conversions, they just make me nuts because I could think of like 10 of them. They're like, and every time I need them to make it, they miss. Every time I need them to miss it, they make. And the Patriots are making me a little bit crazy right now. I don't want to go there. That game made me freaking crazy. And not that Buffalo Buffalo made a couple of big plays, but that's what the Bills do. That's what it's not like the Bills did anything different than I expected them to do, except for give up the damn 2-point conversion. Anyhow, Miami, they got the win yesterday. It's a dead, you worry about the Dolphins' ability to show up in the cold in Foxborough for a game where the Patriots are gonna play. Miami's playing these crazy games. Again, 2 weeks ago, they had a pair of veteran guards, and last week they deactivated the veteran guards, put 2 rookie guards in there, and the offensive line looks great. So, of course, different level of defensive competition this week. I wouldn't anticipate that we'll see a whole lot of Miami money between now and Sunday.
Teddy, next game up, we got a limited marketplace with the Packers playing tonight, but we got Green Bay at Detroit. We're seeing Circa with a 9 in the hook. That's the Packers laying in Detroit, 41.5 being the total here, Teddy.
The look headline here is 10. My powering number is 7.5. Nobody wants the Lions right now. And the market's crashed on Detroit yesterday, and Detroit even had a punt return touchdown and didn't cover the spread in that game either. It's very difficult to find Detroit money right now, and both sides of the ball, a team that's really struggling. Blau's had a rough time of late, and the defense is just getting gashed every week. Drew Lock looked great against them yesterday. One would have to imagine Aaron Rodgers would look great against them as well. And let's not forget the first meeting where the Packers kind of stole it 23-22 against Detroit. I don't know if the Lions going to give that much of a battle this time around. I can anticipate that we're not likely to see a lot of Detroit money. Green Bay, even with the win tonight, is still going to need another win next week. So that's a game where, given the circumstances, likely to only see Packers money.
Teddy, we got 125, 126 up next. LA Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. We got Chiefs laying 7 in the hook. There is an 8 out there as well at home. 46.5 the total here, Teddy.
Well, look at line here is 7. My powering number is 14.5. I don't know who the Chiefs. I wasn't under the impression the Chiefs are sitting guys. And the Chargers. we saw it against the Raiders yesterday. There wasn't much there from L.A. in that game. Oakland wanted it more. They showed they wanted it more. The Chargers it's a divisional game. You can expect them to hang, but the Chiefs' defense isn't getting the credit that they deserve in the marketplace right now, and no one's buying KC's defense. And again, we'll have to see what the circumstances with the Chiefs, who they're going to play, who they're not. But to me, this number looks pretty cheap.
Teddy, we got Arizona, LA Rams up next. Another limited marketplace here. Circa showing the Rams -7 at home, 47 the total.
Yeah, we're not going to know if Kyler Murray's going to play or not until later in the week.
Okay.
Murray got hurt in the win yesterday against Seattle, and Brett Hundley came in and actually played, which whatever. Hundley he's made me crazy too a couple times in his career. Although he played fairly well in yesterday's game. That's a big drop off between Murray and Hundley in that contest. Although are the Rams going to bring anything here? It's hard to say. Look headline here was 7. My powering number is 7.5. And that's based on a healthy Murray, not an injured Murray. That number would be at least 10.5 if Murray doesn't go and it's Brett Hundley behind center. But again, it's a pure powering number with the Rams, and I'm not convinced the Rams will be power rated correctly for Week 17. I don't know what they're going to bring. That's one. I want to read some quotes from LA and see what they're bringing this week, because it's not an easy lay. I'll just put it that way.
All right. We got 2 games left. Follow him on Twitter at Teddy_covers. 56% in the NFL over the last 5 years. You can follow me on Twitter at DrewMartinBets. Teddy, 2 games left. The Sunday nighter, not in the last slot here, but it's San Francisco at Seattle. We're seeing the San Francisco side -3 or -3 in the hook. Kind of a split marketplace here, depending where you're shopping. 47 being the total.
And that sounded really bad. I'm like, it's not an easy lay with LA. I'm talking about laying the points, people. Laying the
family
points,
show.
Please. Yeah, exactly. It's a family show. All right, let's get that doodly-oop out.
Doodly-oop.
Doodly-oop. This is our emergency betting alert. This line will not hold at 3. It's going to 3.5. It's already at 3.5 at several leading indicator books. If you want the 3, you better lay it now. And that comes even with the look-ahead line being pick'em, and even with my powering number being Seattle -1, and that's not an accurate powering number because I haven't adjusted properly for the Seahawks injuries. Seattle's injury report is really problematic. Okay. The clients and I cashed with Arizona yesterday in Seattle in large part because the Seahawks are missing 6 defensive starters, and it showed. It showed from the first play. Literally, the first half of the game is Kenyon Drake makes one cut and goes the distance, 80-yard touchdown run. And that doesn't happen when Seattle's defense is healthy and when Davion Clowney's blowing stuff up on the edge. They're not healthy. Obviously, the running back situation for Seattle's even worse, or just as bad. I mean, they lost every back that they have, or an offense that needs it. Offensive line injuries, and of course, the 49ers are playing through them. Not the Seahawks aren't, but the 49ers playing through the division. San Fran is a very popular team, and deservedly so. They have their fair share of injuries, but they've been impressive. And in a very crappy year for season wins, which hasn't happened to me very often. We've had a couple losing seasons. We haven't really had a year like this. At least the 49ers have been a beacon of light for me. So bottom line is San Fran can only go up. It cannot go down. It's not going below 3. So if you like the Niners, lay the 3 now. It's very reasonable to think that this number is going to get bet up between now and kickoff.
All right, Teddy, 1 game left. And guys, remember the coupon code for the podcast. Rest of the NFL and college football season with Teddy covers at sportsmemo.com for $100 off. Just go to his handicapper page there at sportsmemo.com. Check out for NFL college football rest of season using the coupon code TC199 at checkout. That will give it to you for under $200 all the way throughout the Super Bowl. You'll get his Super Bowl props package. Every play he releases Week 17 in the NFL playoffs, all of them, Super Bowl props package, plus every bowl game throughout the national championship, only $199 using the coupon code TC199 at checkout. Teddy, last game here, 1-3-1, 1-3-2. Week 17, last game on the rotation for the regular season in the NFL. We got Oakland at Denver, 41 being the total, 3 in the hook. That's the Broncos laying against the last game for the Oakland Raiders, Teddy.
Yeah, look ahead line here was Broncos minus 4.5. My powering number is Broncos minus 3.5. The Raiders needed 8 things to break right for them to make the playoffs when they went into kickoff yesterday against the Chargers. And the 4 that needed to go right yesterday all went right. By kickoff here, I think they'll be eliminated. Obviously, they'll still need 3 other things to go right, plus the win over the Broncos. And given what happens in the early games, this number's likely to bounce around because of that. If Oakland has a chance at kickoff versus if Oakland doesn't have a chance at kickoff. If Oakland has a chance at kickoff, there will be Raiders money. There may be heavy Raiders money. If Oakland has no chance at kickoff, we're not going to see that money come in support of Denver. So this is a game that's likely where the point spread is likely to move literally as the early games are taking place on Sunday. They're going to affect the markets for this one later. Raiders showed, again, they had the right team at the right time yesterday, but the Raiders certainly showed they haven't quit on their coach of their season. And Denver, that was impressive yesterday for Denver. Again, it was Detroit. You don't want to make too much of it, but they got punched in the mouth early and dominated the rest of that game. Thoroughly dominated it. And a team with a little bit of momentum. So I'm not in a big rush to step in front of the Broncos, but if Oakland is in a must-win situation, the markets are going to price them accordingly. And again, that may not be known, likely not to be known until as the first games are being played. I know that Cleveland plays early, and Cleveland has to lose for Oakland to win. There's something like that. I don't even remember all the scenarios, but multiple teams have to lose, and the Raiders have to win for them to get there. So they are still technically alive, but certainly a long shot.
Yeah, mathematically alive. I read that like this is for sure their last game, and I guess there is a chance it won't be. So good stuff there, Teddy. And guys, check him out at sportsmemo.com. He's 203 and 158. That's 56% in the NFL since 2015. That's over the last 5 years, 56% in the NFL. And he's also, side note here, 33 and 22. That's 60%. College football bowl games the last 4 years, hitting at a 60% clip. You can get both of his NFL and college football rest of the season throughout the Super Bowl national championship for $100 off. Sportsmemo.com using the coupon code TC199 at checkout for the rest of his NFL college football full season package. Coupon code TC199 at checkout. Teddy, we'll have the NFL opening line report for the playoffs, but anything else you want to throw out before we shut it down for the regular season opening line report?
I just want to say thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. We built something this football season. It's a show that I've been doing in one form or another for the better part of the last 20 years, and this is the first year that we've actually built an audience for it and gotten a doodly-oo for it and gotten, I thank you. I really, thank you, Drew, and thank you, our viewing and listening audience. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy day every Monday to hang out with us. It's awesome. I really appreciate it. And, of course, we'll see if we can on to bigger and better things next year. We'll keep doing the opening line report, but we'll see. Let's see how big it can get, Drew. But thank you, guys. Merry Christmas. We enjoy the holiday. And we'll do it again next week with the playoffs opening line report. It'll be shorter. But we'll have a little bit more in-depth discussion on the games for the 4 playoff games next week, and we'll do it throughout the postseason. Heck, we'll even do it for the props, for the Super Bowl. So, we'll keep it going for another, 6 weeks still before this NFL season is done. But I want to thank you out there in viewer land, listener land. Really, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And good luck this weekend. Good luck this week. And have a Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and whatever else you celebrate. Nothing but the best.
Right back at you, Teddy. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Tell Isaac we all say hi, and good cameo there by him. And yeah, guys, just a second what Teddy said. Really appreciate the growth that you guys have had a big part of. With the comments on Twitter, at Drew Martin Betts, at Teddy_covers. Love hearing it, and the comments there on the YouTube channel. Love seeing that stuff, and any advice you got for us. We're all ears here to make the show better. We really enjoy the growth. So guys, Merry Christmas from Teddy Covers, from Sports Memo. Happy Hanukkah as well. Whatever you're celebrating out there. Happy holidays. Be safe. Best of luck with your bets. And we will be back with Mid-Major Matt doing the college football Every Game on the Board podcast, doing the next week of bowl games. We'll get that posted within a couple hours, and we'll have Teddy Covers and Minty Betts back on Friday doing the NFL Every Game on the Board podcast. So for Teddy Covers, I'm Drew Martin. Guys, best of luck with your bets. We'll see you later in the week.